Money is not merely a physical currency, it is a divine idea governed by unseen spiritual laws. When you align with these laws, money flows to you naturally, effortlessly, and abundantly. But when you resist them through fear, doubt, or negative speech, you block the channels of prosperity. The universe is rich, and lack is but a shadow born of limited thinking. There is no limit to the substance of supply, only the limits we accept in our minds and affirm with our words. The law is simple. What you feel and say about money becomes your experience of money. Your words shape your wealth. Every phrase you speak is a command to the universe. If you speak of lack, you invite lack. If you declare abundance, you magnetize abundance. Most people speak of their financial situation exactly as it is, forgetting that the spoken word is a spiritual force that goes ahead of them and prepares the way. When you say, "I never have enough," you are not merely describing your life, you are creating it. You are writing the script for your financial future. The law of the spoken word is exact and impersonal. It does not respond to what you mean, but to what you say with conviction. So when you say something with feeling, whether in joy or in complaint, it takes root and begins to manifest. Words are seeds planted in the soil of consciousness. If you plant seeds of wealth, you will grow a harvest of prosperity. If you plant seeds of worry, you will harvest stress and limitation. This is not just metaphor, but spiritual law. When you speak words like, "Money comes to me easily and freely," or "I am always provided for," you are aligning your vibration with abundance. These words begin to move through unseen channels, rearranging situations, inspiring people, and guiding resources toward you. On the other hand, when you say, "I'm broke," or "I can't afford that," you are turning off the supply before it even has a chance to reach you. Many people make the mistake of thinking they must first change their outer conditions before changing their words. But spiritual truth works in the opposite order. You speak first, and the outer follows. You must speak abundance even when you do not see it. You must declare wealth even when the bank balance says otherwise. This is the true test of faith, not to speak what is visible, but to speak what is divinely true. The more you speak of prosperity, the more your inner state begins to align with it, and as within, so without. The world you experience is only a reflection of the words you consistently affirm. It is important to speak affirmations not as wishful thinking, but with authority and knowing. Say, "I am prosperous," and let no contradiction shake you. When doubt arises, answer it with truth. Say, "I deny this appearance of lack. I affirm divine abundance." Every word you say about money is a declaration of faith or fear, and only one of them will serve you. If you want your finances to improve, begin with your mouth. Make it a tool of creation, not destruction. Use it to praise, bless, and affirm your good. Let no idle or careless word escape your lips. Every time you speak, you are setting spiritual law into motion. The truth is simple and powerful. Your words are not just descriptions, they are invitations. Invite wealth by speaking it. Call it in with faith. And then watch as the invisible responds, the path clears, and money begins to flow in ways you never expected. Money flows through spiritual alignment, not force. The world often teaches us that success comes from constant struggle, endless effort, and tireless hustle. But spiritual law teaches something very different. It teaches that true prosperity comes not from how hard you work, but from how closely you are aligned with divine order. When you are spiritually aligned, when your thoughts, feelings, and words are in harmony with abundance, you no longer chase money. Money is drawn to you. This alignment is not achieved through fear, worry, or overwork. It is found in stillness, faith, right thinking, and a calm knowing that what is yours by divine right will appear at the perfect time and in the perfect way. People who work endlessly without spiritual alignment often find themselves exhausted, frustrated, and stuck in cycles of lack. They are pushing against the current rather than flowing with it, but those who align themselves with the higher laws move with grace. They are guided to the right opportunities, they meet the right people, and they receive what they need without forcing or manipulating the situation. This does not mean we do nothing. It means that we act when inspired, we speak with authority, and we expect with confidence. We do not strive in fear, we move in faith. When your inner world is aligned with the truth of abundance, the outer world must adjust to reflect it. Your thoughts are prayers, and your feelings are magnets. If you feel unworthy, desperate, or doubtful, your vibration repels what you seek. But when you declare your worth, feel your power, and trust in divine timing, you open the way for miracles. Everything you need is already prepared, but it is waiting for you to become the person who can receive it. Spiritual alignment is about becoming that version of yourself who no longer begs or pleads, but commands with calm authority. Many miss their blessings because they are out of alignment. They are speaking lack while asking for abundance. They are acting in fear while praying for provision. This contradiction blocks the flow. You cannot serve two masters. You must choose. Either you trust in divine law or you trust in appearances. When appearances show lack, you must deny them the power to rule your mind. You must say, "This is only a temporary picture. The truth is, I am rich in substance, and wealth flows to me now." That is alignment. You do not need to fight for what already belongs to you by spiritual inheritance. You do not need to prove your worthiness to receive. You are worthy because you exist, because you are one with the source of all supply. Your role is not to chase after money, but to align your thoughts, words, and actions with the reality that money is already yours. And when you are aligned, the right work appears, the right channels open, and money flows, not because you forced it, but because you flowed with divine truth. Faith activates supply, fear blocks it. These two forces cannot exist together in the same space. Faith is expansive, radiant, and powerful. It opens doors, invites opportunities, and creates miracles. Fear, on the other hand, contracts, closes, and limits. When you act, speak, or think from fear, you are essentially declaring to the universe that lack is real and that you do not trust the divine process. This blocks the flow of supply from reaching you, even when it is already prepared and waiting for you to receive. But the moment you shift into faith, even a small mustard seed of it, the channels begin to open and the supply starts to move toward you. Faith is not passive hope. It is a bold declaration of truth in the face of appearances. It is knowing, not guessing, that the universe is abundant and that your needs are already met in spirit. You may not see the how, you may not understand the way, but faith says, it is already done. That deep inner knowing creates a vibration that calls forth provision. Faith activates invisible forces that rearrange situations, guide your steps, and make the impossible suddenly possible. Even when logic says no, faith says yes, and the law responds not to logic, but to spiritual truth. Fear is a hypnotic suggestion based on illusion. It convinces you to speak words of defeat, to imagine worst-case scenarios, and to prepare for failure. Every time you accept fear, you are rehearsing poverty in your mind. And what is practiced in the mind becomes manifested in reality. When you say, "What if the money doesn't come?" you are blocking the very answer you seek. But when you say, "I trust that all is working in divine order," even without visible evidence, you are making a space for the solution to appear. Fear prepares you for loss, faith prepares you for increase. In moments of doubt, you must train yourself to return to faith quickly. This is the spiritual discipline. When fear rises, you answer it with truth. Say, "There is no lack in the divine mind. I am provided for now." Speak it with confidence, even if your voice trembles. The law does not require perfect faith, only persistent faith. Every time you choose faith over fear, you strengthen your connection to supply. You tune your mind to divine substance and align yourself with the endless stream of provision. You do not need to know how it will happen. That is not your role. Your part is to stay in faith, act on divine guidance, and speak the word of prosperity. Fear may knock at the door, but you do not have to let it in. Replace it with a word of power, a word of truth, a word of faith. Say, I walk by faith, not by sight. All that I need is now being provided. And as you do, the invisible begins to take form, and the supply you need moves swiftly into view. You said, expend 4 key point without any subheading and conclusion in 500 words, ChatGPT said. Circulation invites multiplication. Money, like energy, is meant to flow. When you allow it to move freely, without fear or resistance, it returns to you increased and multiplied. Holding onto money tightly out of anxiety or scarcity sends a signal to the universe that you do not trust in continued supply. This mindset stops the flow and creates stagnation. But when you give freely, spend joyfully, and release money with gratitude, you activate a spiritual law that brings more back to you. The universe responds to movement, not hoarding. Circulation is proof of your faith in abundance. Giving must come from a place of knowing, not from guilt, duty, or fear of not having enough. When you give with joy and trust, you are aligning yourself with the infinite substance that underlies all physical forms. Each time you give, you are declaring to the universe, there is more where that came from. That declaration has creative power. It opens the floodgates for divine substance to return to you, often from unexpected sources. You may give in one direction and receive from another. That is how spiritual law works. It is not bound by linear cause and effect, but by vibration and faith. People often fear giving because they believe in limitation. They say, if I give, I will have less. But the truth is the opposite. If you give in faith, you make room to receive more. Imagine a cup already full. Nothing more can be poured into it unless you first pour something out. The same is true with money. When you release it in alignment with spiritual law, you create space for more to flow in. You prove your trust in divine supply, and that trust is always rewarded. Circulation is not just about giving to others. It is also about investing in yourself, spending with confidence, and avoiding miserly habits rooted in fear. If you hesitate to spend on your well-being or constantly say, I can't afford it, you are blocking circulation. Every time you spend money, you must bless it and affirm that it returns multiplied. Say, I send this money forth with love, and it returns to me increased. This attitude transforms ordinary transactions into spiritual practice. It keeps you connected to the flow and prevents the buildup of mental poverty. You must also release any resentment about giving. If you give and then complain, you undo the blessing. If you give and feel fear, you shrink the energy. True giving is free, joyful, and trusting. Even a small act of generosity, when done in the spirit of abundance, sets powerful forces in motion. The amount matters less than the attitude. $1 given in faith carries more power than 1,000 hoarded in fear. The spiritual law is always looking for cheerful givers, those who understand that money is not lost when given, it is planted, and every seed returns with a harvest. Circulation, therefore, is not loss, it is the beginning of multiplication. Gratitude and praise attract prosperity. When you feel grateful, you are in harmony with abundance. You are no longer focused on what is missing, but on what is present, and that shift in awareness creates a powerful magnetic field around you. The more you give thanks for what you have, the more you receive. Gratitude is not only a polite attitude, it is a spiritual force that aligns your vibration with wealth. It tells the universe, I am aware of my blessings, and I am ready for more. This readiness opens the way for divine increase. When you praise what you already possess, even if it is little, you multiply its value and set the law of expansion into motion. Praise is a form of spiritual magnification. When you praise the good in your life, you make it grow. You may look at your finances and see very little, but if you say, I bless this money, and I know more is on the way, you are affirming divine truth over appearances. The world teaches you to complain when things are small or lacking, but spiritual law teaches you to praise even the seed, for it contains the tree. Every blessing you recognize and celebrate attracts its own kind. When you complain about your circumstances, you affirm lack. When you praise what you have, you affirm abundance. Many people delay gratitude, waiting for something big to happen before they express joy. But that is not how spiritual law works. You must first be grateful where you are to move to where you want to be. When you thank the universe for small signs, small increases, and even small coins, you prove that you are ready to receive more. The universe does not waste energy. It sends supply where it is appreciated and acknowledged. If you overlook your blessings, you stop the flow. But if you thank life for every drop, it turns into a river. Another form of praise is celebrating others. When you admire someone else's success, you align with that vibration. If you see someone living in wealth and you bless their abundance, you draw that frequency closer to yourself. Envy and jealousy are signals of separation. They say, "That is theirs, and I cannot have it." But praise says, "What is possible for one is possible for all." The moment you replace comparison with celebration, you begin to invite that same prosperity into your life. What you admire, you attract. Gratitude is also the remedy for impatience. If your good has not yet appeared, begin to thank it in advance. Speak as if it is already done. Say, "I am so grateful for the wealth that is now flowing to me." This is not denial. It is preparation. It is the recognition that what you have asked for is already created in the invisible, and gratitude is the magnet that pulls it into form. Every moment you spend in gratitude and praise strengthens your connection to divine supply and draws prosperity closer with quiet certainty. Forgiveness clears the way for increase. When you hold on to anger, resentment, or regret, whether toward others, yourself, or past financial decisions, you block the spiritual current of prosperity. Unforgiveness is like a stone in the river of abundance. It clogs the flow, creates resistance, and keeps good from reaching you. Many people wonder why their affirmations do not work, why they pray and speak prosperity, but see little change. Often, the hidden block is unforgiveness. You cannot live in divine flow while holding on to emotional debt. You must release others and yourself completely in order to allow increase to flow freely through your life. Forgiveness is not about condoning wrong behavior or pretending that pain did not happen. It is a spiritual act of release. It says, "I no longer give this situation or person power over my present or my future." When you forgive, you reclaim your energy. You take back your authority. Every moment spent in bitterness is a moment stolen from creation. But when you forgive, you free yourself to receive. The universe abhors a vacuum. As soon as you clear out resentment, something new and good rushes in to fill the space. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is power in its highest form. Self-forgiveness is just as important. Many block their prosperity because they secretly feel unworthy to receive. They are still punishing themselves for mistakes, past debts, missed chances, or poor decisions. They replay these memories like a broken record, and each time they do, they reinforce guilt and scarcity. But spiritual law does not hold grudges. It only responds to the vibration you carry now. You must say to yourself, "I forgive myself fully. I was doing the best I knew at the time. I now choose to walk forward in grace and power." When you do this, you dissolve the hidden guilt that may have been repelling abundance. Forgiveness resets your vibration. It shifts you from heaviness to lightness, from bondage to freedom, and only a free soul can fully receive. If you are trying to manifest wealth while carrying resentment, you are working against yourself. Your words may say abundance, but your energy says block. This is why forgiveness is not optional. It is essential. You cannot attract prosperity while sending out signals of pain and resistance. You must clear the past to claim the present. Each time you bless those who hurt you, you rise above the experience and align with divine order. Say, I bless and release this person to their highest good. I now open the door to mine. These words carry power. They sever cords of limitation and invite in waves of freedom. As forgiveness flows, so does money, opportunity, healing, and joy. You make space for the new by letting go of the old, and what returns to you after forgiveness is always greater than what was lost. In that space of peace, increase becomes inevitable,